Hammer on VictoryLaneRadio.com is Tommy Joe Martins, driver of the number 44 Chevy Silverado Gusset American Jeans. Number 44 for Team Martin Racing. How
Actually,
you doing tonight,
it's Steve
Tom?
from Underdogs.
Oh, Steve, how are you tonight?
Good, doing good. How you doing?
Okay, and Tommy is on as well right now.
Okay, so tonight we're joined. Sorry for the technical difficulties there tonight, everybody. Tonight we're joined by Tommy Joe Martins, NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series driver, the number 44, and Racing Underdogs. How you doing tonight, guys?
Hey, doing good, man.
How you doing?
This is it.
Oh, that's good. Tommy Joe Martins, it's great to have you on. We connected on Twitter in the past, and thanks to Steve from Racing Underdogs on Twitter, we were able to get this together. First of all, how you doing tonight? And how you looking forward to the 2017 season?
Hey, thanks for having me on. No, doing good tonight. Kind of enjoying the break of the off season here, and trying to get things together for 2017. Still a lot up in the air, but working hard and trying to kind of wheel and deal, as all the teams like ours do here during the next couple of months.
Yeah, now we got Steve from Racing Underdogs on Twitter online with us. And go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, I just want to get your take, Tommy Joe, on how you described your 2016 season. For those who may not have been following along with your blogs.
Oh boy, like in one. Do I have like one word, or do I get to expound on this a little bit?
Yeah, go ahead and expand on it.
Yeah, I don't know. It was up and down. Just kind of differing expectations throughout the year. I think I came into it with one set of expectations, and they were probably unrealistic. Small team, 4 guys, some equipment that we got from GMS Racing, who obviously had a great season, but it was year-old trucks, and running SV2 motors, which are a little down. And I think I had really unrealistic goals that would be a top 20, top 15 program consistently, and that just is not the case. We made some changes during the year that we thought would pick us up, and we had some results that were pretty good. In Michigan, we had a good shot at the top 10. Talladega, a good shot at the top 10. Had some other pretty solid runs in the top 15 and some other tracks. So, I mean, it wasn't just all bad, but just a lot of disappointment as well. A lot of crashes, whether they were my fault or somebody else's, which was very well documented. So just a lot of disappointment, a lot of struggles for my guys. They just did an awesome job. I told them at the end of it, keep their heads up, and I'm going to try to keep mine up. We have to try to keep it in mind that this was the first full season for our race team and for me. And so with that being said, I think there's a lot of potential there. Maybe we didn't get to show all of it this year. Some consistency and some DNFs left us a little further down in the points than we probably should have been, because I think we ran better than we wound up finishing in the points. So I think that's a little disappointing, but also there's some takeaways there that say, okay, if we get another crack at this, we know what we did well and maybe what we struggled with and how to improve.
Yeah, now you guys are all listening to the Hollering with Hammer show on VictoryLaneRadio.com. Tommy Joe Martins, before I throw it back to Steve, I just had one quick question for you. What made you choose the Truck Series at the beginning of 2016?
What made us go into the Truck Series?
Yeah.
Well, quite frankly, just the idea of being a little more competitive. You got to realize in the Xfinity Series, you have basically no shot at getting a top 15 without a whole lot of money or some really, really good equipment or some sort of connection somewhere. And Blake Cook and Ryan Sieg both had tremendous seasons as kind of underdog single car teams out there in the Xfinity Series. But both of them would tell you straight up that they spent the money on the equipment necessary to go run that well. That doesn't mean they weren't as a disadvantage to like Roush Racing, but I mean, it takes a huge deal to try to run up there. Whereas I really think the Truck Series, with a smaller team and some solid equipment, you have a better shot at running consistently near, the top 15, top 20. And you look at, Ricky Benton Racing and Ryan Truex when they came out there with the 81. I mean, these aren't small budget teams, but they're smaller teams. And I think they're able to compete a little bit better. It's this idea that, there's not going to be any Cup affiliations as much in the Truck Series. Some of that is changing now. But it was that idea going into it that said, okay, we think this is a place we can be a little more competitive as a small team. And that's really what led to the decision.
Yeah, which of the three big series do you consider the best value as a team owner versus which one's better for a driver experience, or at least to gain the experience?
Right, and that's the struggle with this, man, is I think if I was going to make a decision completely based on the money and returns here, and just to kind of go off topic for a second here, but that's really what this comes down to, and maybe that's why I've been so vocal about it. I mean, when you ask guys like Lee Petty and, Ralph Earnhart back in the day, and then you said, okay, well, what's your main concern out here racing? They're going to say the money, period. That's what they were racing for. That's how they made money, was winning the prize money from winning races and stuff. So I think when I trace kind of back to that, the place I probably ought to be is the Xfinity Series. The pay out there is a lot better than it is in the Truck Series, roughly $8,000 to $10,000 more per race if you're finishing in the top 30 in points. So that's it's a pretty big chunk. Whereas the Truck Series, basically all the expenses are roughly the same as the Xfinity Series. You're running basically the same motors. The bodies are going to cost the same to hang on there if you tear something up. Chassis are roughly going to cost the same to build. Tires are going to go through roughly the same amount of sets. So it's not really a whole heck of a lot of difference as far as that is concerned. And also, the Xfinity Series, everybody says, oh, the schedule's too long. Well, as a team owner, you're perfectly fine with the schedule being long because that's more opportunities that you have to get in a check. So now I get 33 checks compared to 23, which is nice. That's more income for a small team. But it also comes with some disadvantages, which is a much more crowded schedule. That 33 races, it's 33 checks, but it's also 33 times you got to get a car ready. So if you don't have a whole lot of cars, that any problems that you might have really jump up on you quick. We learned that in the Truck Series this year. When we had problems during the back-to-backs and all that kind of stuff, that's when we really struggled the next week. When we had, a few weeks in between to kind of get ourselves back together, we usually showed up pretty well. So that's nice. You're able to have smaller crew in the Truck Series. In Xfinity, you would obviously need a lot more guys just because you're out there every week. Whereas in trucks, smaller guy, 3 or 4 or 5 guys, you can, it's not ideal, but they have a little more time. So that's a little more manageable there. I mean, so there's pros and cons. As a driver, I want to be in the Truck Series, and I've been vocal about that. I would love to have a career like a Johnny Sauter or a Matt Crafton or those kind of guys, or heck, a David Starr or, who's the guy that ran down there and he ran Mobile Speedway? What's his name? Ran the Truck Series for forever, owned Mobile down there.
Oh, okay. I know you're talking about.
You know exactly what I'm talking about, but I'm blanking out his name. But a career like that where I could be out there in the Truck Series for 6, 7, 8 years or something like that, that would be ideal for me. Even with a small team where we're running right around that 20th to 15th place type of deal and just enough money to, basically pay the bills and keep coming back. I mean, that would be a great situation for me. I'd enjoy that and trying to always, I guess I like being the underdog. I guess part of me just enjoys it, kind of going up against there. The thing is honestly, when you finish 25th and you're in our equipment, I would get mad at it because it's the competitive side of me. But really, realistically, that's probably where we ought to be finishing anyway.
Yeah.
So I shouldn't get mad about it. And really, it gives you an opportunity to say, okay, well, hey, maybe we're going to exceed expectations this week, and you really shouldn't be disappointed as often as I was. And I kind of learned that looking back in the mirror. But yeah, where should we be as a team? Probably the Xfinity Series. If you could tell me I could make every single race out there, without a doubt, I'm going to make more money. I'm going to be a lot more closer to breaking even on the prize money than I will be in the Truck Series. The Truck Series, you're going to be, but if you go out and try to race, and I think I've spoken out about this, when you try to race, you're opening yourself up to a lot of different problems. You need tires, you need a pit crew, you're risking damage to your car, and now that's going to take more money. All that takes more money. More miles on your motor that you're going to have to eventually freshen back up. So when you do that, now we're spending a lot more money. And then a full season of trucks, I can tell you, we basically were upside down about $300,000 to $400,000 this year, even as small as we were doing it. So it basically gives you an idea of just how far off the prize money idea there is. And I've said that, and I think a few other owners and stuff have kind of backed me up. I mean, it's to a point now where if you don't have a sponsor, there's no chance you to break even at all. And that's basically in any series.
So with that being said, looking ahead to 2017, as you're trying to piece everything together and you're going through your spreadsheets, which I know you have a bunch of financials that you're going through on the off weeks, what are you looking for to make it like a full run? Are you looking for a full-time ride? Are you trying to scale it back to part-time like some of the other teams do? Or
no, I've figured out that the best thing for Tommy Joe Martins is Martins Motorsports doing well. That's basically my only shot, because if I was to try to go to any other team, I mean, it's, they need money. So there's no, bones about it. Diamond Gusset has been awesome. They have supported us when we were really crummy back in the Xfinity Series in 2014. We were really crummy. And it's kind of stuck with me ever since. To their whether it's benefit or disdain, or one or the other. But David Hall has been great over there. And they're coming back next year, so we've got a little guaranteed money there. We've got a few other small sponsors that have been great. They're going to stick around, but it's just not enough money for a full-time deal. We're about probably a third of the way there, and so realistically, we've kind of opened the doors as to go, and okay, well, if we're able to secure more sponsorship, great, full-time for me, and that'll be awesome. But if not, then yeah, we're going to probably have to do a partnership or a trade out or something like that. I mean, the biggest thing here for me is keeping the doors open at Martins Motorsports and continuing to have an opportunity to grow the team. Not just for me, but also, for everybody. It's our crew and our sponsors and everything like that. I know that if we can keep showing up and we keep digging at it, I think we've got an opportunity to grow. And that's going to be my best chance to succeed as a driver, is probably with our team, rather than expecting to get a big time ride.
Yeah, and once again, you guys are all listening to the Hollering with Hammer show on VictoryLaneRadio.com, and I really appreciate NASCAR Truck Series driver Tommy Joe Martins and Steve from Racing Underdogs coming on board tonight. Tommy, before I throw it back to Steve, I just had a quick question. You drive Chevy. Is Chevy what you're going to stay with? Do you plan on sticking with Chevy for the long run here?
I am a Chevy guy. I am a Chevrolet guy, without a doubt. First of all, Chevrolet has actually been really cool with us. They have kind of stepped out and said that we could maybe get some support from them on body and some aero stuff and, some wind tunnel stuff and all. Even as small as we are, I think they like how we represented the brand and ourselves last year. So they've been great. So yeah, we're not planning on going anywhere. We're planning on sticking with Chevy. I work out here in Las Vegas at Ron Fellows Performance Driving School. We're the official driving school of Corvette. So I work at a Chevy place. I drive a Chevy truck. I got a Chevy Silverado sitting in my driveway right now. We're Chevy all the way. I don't plan on going anywhere else.
So switching gears, because we're kind of up against the clock, but just pretend for now your name is Tommy Joe France. You're living it up in Daytona Beach, hanging out with famous wrestlers and Donald Trump, and he turns to you and asks you how you're going to make NASCAR great again. For all teams, what is your list of laundry items you want to take care of? Try to get the series where you think it should be.
Okay, this could be. This could be a thing that I answer for the next hour and a half here. Let's
break it down for 3 minutes.
Keep it. Yeah, I was going to say, we'll try to cut it as best as I can here. The number one thing is you got to cut costs, and you got to basically increase the prize money. And I know that sounds like, well, that's really easy. Why aren't they doing that? And the thing is, I don't think NASCAR is opposed to doing that. I know I've been pretty vocal about it, but it's not like NASCAR sitting in the boardroom like, no way, we can't cut costs. We got to let them drive up. The thing that I want them to do is just stop letting the teams be the ones that are kind of jacking this thing up for everybody. Like, perfect example, and I'm not talking crap here, but like Hendrick Motorsports came out with this oil pan thing on the oil pan for the R07 motors and stuff like that. And it's worth about 8 horsepower. They started doing this kind of in the middle of the year. Well, now that's something that I got to go spend on my motors. And we checked into it, and it's going to basically be about $5,000 per motor that I got to dump into that. And that's like per motor, and we own 3 of them, so there's 15 grand right there in the off season, and you really didn't even, like, why was that even allowed? And that's the thing, is RCR came back and were like, yeah, we were fighting this. We didn't really see why we even needed this. Right, so that's kind of one team lobbying on the rules change. And so that's just kind of weird, and it's costing everybody money. And so it's like, as far as I'm concerned, unless it increases the fan experience, then why are we really doing it? If it's not making it safer or better for the teams and the fans can't really tell the difference, then what's the real point? You know, I guess I just don't really see the need for a whole lot of innovation. I mean, I get we're always innovating here, but I guess that's my main problem. But it's just, you know, where does it stop? It's going to constantly be more money there. And the prize money's not going up, and that's the other problem. I just think if you could ever get racing back to a point where you got the prize money for a team that's managing things well and not overspending the budget, keeping things small and not tearing a lot of stuff up, if you could ever get it to where they're close to break even there in the top 3 series, because let's not beat around the bush here. I mean, the Truck Series is a top 3 national stock car series. It is the big leagues. It is not a joke.
Right.
You know, it's not like AA or something where, you know, it's not like that. It is a big league deal. You know, so if you could just get it to where teams are breaking even, whether it be cost cuts with tires or motors, I mean, that's the 2 biggest ones right there. With bodies, where we went to a flange fit deal like ARCA, that could save money. There's a lot of different things there that we could probably do to cut costs. And if we were able to do something to, I don't know, increase the prize money or the distribution of the prize money a little differently, whether you go to a, I don't know, like a charter deal, like Cup did, where if you're a charter team, you get X amount, and if you're not, then you get something else. I mean, there was some way to kind of structure that a little better, because I know for a fact if we could get around $25,000 a race prize money, which is roughly what the Xfinity Series is getting, that would get us a lot closer to breaking even, and that would put the power back in the owners' hands, where now you would have owners not tied to sponsors and not tied to drivers or anything like that. They would just go out and put who they thought was the best driver in the car and then kind of let the chips fall where they may. And I think that's just better for stock car racing, and I think that's just better for racing in general.
Awesome. And one last question. Would you ever consider taking whatever you had left in your piggy bank, which I know after his last season isn't much, and trying to get a ride in the Cup Series, just renting out a ride for a race or anything like that?
Man, that's something, I mean, you know, it's like a bucket list thing, right? You know, you always wanted to drive in the Cup Series. But honestly, my expectations and my trajectory for my career, I'm 30. I just turned 30. This is what, 2 days ago? I turned 30.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know, I think a guy like Dylan Lufton probably has a better chance at making it Cup. I mean, being younger and already been up there. I just don't have a lot of expectations for that. I think Matt Crafton has run a few Cup races. You know, like if I could do that, I'd like to run the Daytona 500 once. That'd be cool. I'd like to run the Southern 500 once. That'd be awesome. You know, I have some things like that, but I really don't have any sort of plan for, you know, making it to Cup or trying to wheel and deal for, you know, a couple races or something. I would much rather run a full season down in the Truck Series for roughly the same amount of money that I would wind up going and spending in 3 or 4 Cup races for a back marker team. And that's, you know, it's just, to me, it seems like I would get way more out of it, and I think my career would be better, and I think it would just kind of be better for everybody.
Fair enough.
Yeah, you guys are listening to the Hollering with Hammer Show on VictoryLaneRadio.com, VictoryLaneRadio.com. Tommy Joe Martins and Steve from Racing Underdogs. If either of you guys would like to promote anything, we're up against the clock here. Tommy, I really appreciate you coming on tonight. It was great. You took the time out to call in. If you guys got anything you'd like to promote, go right ahead.
Absolutely. Holiday season, you guys need to go to gusset.com and buy some jeans. You need to go to bootdaddy.com and buy some boots or some clothes. Sponsors for small teams like ours are so important, and there have been 2 companies that have been extremely supportive of me. So if you want to support me, support them, especially during the holiday shopping season. And thank you guys for having me on. It was a lot of fun. Always enjoy talking racing. I'm willing to do it anytime with anybody.
You can just follow me at Racing Underdogs on Twitter, and trying to piece together a website bit by bit, and maybe by the time Daytona 500 rolls around, we'll have it up and running. So thanks for your time, Tommy Joe.
Absolutely.
All right.
Good talking to you guys.
Yeah, Tommy, thank you very much for coming on. Steve, if you'd like to stay on for a minute, next week, Steve, me and you are going to have on Matt Mills from the Nascar Craftsman Truck Series. He drives for the 07 Chevy Silverado, Thompson Electric, Team SS Greenlight Racing. Anything you'd like to say about that? That should be a pretty good interview. A young kid.
It'd be a similar conversation, but a little different. I think where Tommy Joe is relatively new on the major touring series. He's a little bit older. Matt is cut his teeth for a long time on some of the lower levels of racing, and now trying to make his way up. He has a really good opportunity at the 07 towards the end of last year, and it'd be real interesting to see how he thought his few races went with the 07 and where he thinks it's going for the future. So should be a really good conversation.
Yeah, what do you say about Tommy Joe Martins? He's got his opinions. His blog kind of made headlines last year. He's got his opinions. He's a good dude. He's a good guy, and I like that fire about staying in the Truck Series. I like that how he said, if I can get the Cup and run a couple races, that's cool. But I'd like to do 8 seasons down here in trucks. I like that. You don't hear that too much. What's your opinion on that?
No, he's extremely realistic with what's probably best for his trajectory at his age. Unfortunately, if you're not born after about 1994 now, and you didn't start racing by the age of 6, you're kind of behind the 8 ball. And so the fact that he's able to kind of get his footing into the Truck Series and just has those goals to stay there, it's admirable. It used to be a series full of veterans, and now it's not so much. We have a caution clock for for younger drivers. So it's definitely refreshing to have someone who's that honest with his career and can face the fact that maybe not the most desirable to move on up the chain necessarily. So
yeah, I was looking at information today on Matt Mills, and I see he was born in '96, and I was just laughing. 20 years old from '96. And I'm relatively a young guy, and I'm a dinosaur compared to that. So it was just funny when I was reading his bio and stuff like that. Well, Steve, it was great having you on tonight, man. I look forward to you coming on next week on a Hollering show. And I look forward to having you on in 2017, man, every week if possible.
Yes, definitely. So you have yourself a good week. I'll catch you guys later.
All right. Thank you very much. All right, that's Steve from Racing Underdogs. Check him out on Twitter. Check him out. He's on Instagram. He's on Facebook. He's on Twitter. You just type in Racing Underdogs and you'll find him. So, and you can head over to my page if you need to. I tag him in pretty much everything. So, he's got good stuff. But Tommy Joe Martins, he's got a lot of opinions. And I like that. He had a blog. He caught, some headlines last year from his stuff on the blog. And I hope to have him on again next season in 2017. So, yeah, we got Larry Johnson coming on. He's going to spend a few minutes with us tonight. He's a former professional bull rider and a country guy, lives in Kentucky, personal friend of mine. So I'm looking forward to that. And then, then you're going to want the children's to walk away from the radio because I got the emails, man. People